Right, hey guys, it's Weston here. So today I'm going to be reviewing the OBI MV1 smartphone and seeing if it's any good. So let's find out. So kicking off with the design, I actually quite like it. It's quirky, it's different, and it's something you're not going to see from other companies. And the first thing that really grabs your attention about the design is the floating display. Again, something I've never seen on any other smartphone. So I applaud OBI for doing something different. And different it is. You can just see it floats above the rest of the body of the phone and it creates a really cool effect. I'll quite like it, you might not, but I think it's cool and a little bit different. Also on here we've got Gorilla Glass 3, which is good, just in case you accidentally knock it or something, because it is away from the body. It is covered with that, so it'll probably be okay. Also on here we've got your regular front-facing camera, earpiece, and all your sensors. So then we get onto the top of the phone, and this is finished off in a contrasting colour to the rest of the phone and features your 3.5mm jack. Now the 3.5mm is actually pretty impressive. It goes loud and the quality is really good. It's got good bass, a good mid-range, good vocal and good highs. Also you've got some really cool software built into this phone as well, and that'll just allow you to adjust your EQ for different genres of music, which I think is a pretty nice addition. Back to the phone now, and on the bottom we've got your micro USB port, your primary microphone, and a little cutout to allow you to remove the back cover. Speaking of the back cover, around here we've got your rear facing camera, your LED flash, a secondary microphone, some branding down at the bottom, and also your rear firing speaker. Now the speaker is really quite disappointing, to be honest. It doesn't go too loud, it distorts when it does get a little bit louder, so it's not fantastic at all. So if you watch a lot of YouTube and listen to music via your phone, then you're probably going to want to stick to headphones because it's just not good at all. So next up we've got your display. It's 5 inches, it's 12 hectare by 720, giving you 720p, and a PPI of 294. And I'm actually not that impressed with the display. I mean, it's fairly sharp at normal viewing distance, but once you start bringing it closer to your eyes, then it's not fantastic, to be honest. Also the colours are really flat, they're really muted, and it's just not a nice looking display at all, in my opinion. So if you're one of those people that likes really contrasty, really vibrant and saturated displays, this is probably not going to be for you at all. This is definitely really flat and quite dull, in my opinion. A little bit of a shame, but it's just what it is. Also to note, the whites are quite neutral, so they're not too warm or too cool, and the blacks like real depth. With it being IPS though, we've got some really great viewing angles, which is a good point, but I don't really think that makes up for the rest of the display. So now we get onto the UI, and this is running Android 5.1.1. Now that is kind of old now. We're coming up to Android 7 soon for most phones, and most phones now are actually on Android 6. Luckily this is going to get updated at some point in the future, and that'll upgrade you from Cyanogen 12, which it's on at the minute, to Cyanogen 13, and that'll bring you a lot of improvements, because this version at the minute is not fantastic. It's got a few flaws, a few issues. One of those main issues is actually just random Wi-Fi drops. Just say if I'm just on Twitter or something, the Wi-Fi will just cut off, no reasoning whatsoever. Now it wasn't my Wi-Fi going down because I was actually using my Xiaomi at the same time, and that was still connected to the Wi-Fi at the same time, so I'm not really sure what was happening there. Also, I don't really like the look of the UI. Now usually I do like Cyanogen, it looks really nice and it's a little bit different, but kind of like stock Android at the same time too. This is done a little bit different and it's just not to my taste at all. The icons are different in style and they just don't mesh well with the stock ones that are on the phone. Luckily there is a theme store, so you can change up the look of it, but yeah, as it comes out of the box it's not nice at all. Luckily though, with Cyanogen you do get some cool things, and my favourite thing about this is the lock screen. It's got this really cool different effect on it, so you can swipe different directions, and I just love how it's styled, and that's probably my favourite part of the UI. So now we get onto performance, and it's running a Snapdragon 212, an Adreno 304, 2GB of RAM, 16GB built-in storage, giving you about 12GB free. And the performance is a mixed bag actually. Sometimes the UI will flow really nice and smoothly and it'll be a joy to use. Other times it'll be a little bit laggy and it'll be slow and it's just not good to use. So when it's working well, it's good, but most of the time it's quite slow and it's a little bit sluggish. Multitasking isn't that great either. Again, having a lot of apps open really slows this phone down. Now I'm thinking it's possibly the Cyanogen and Android not working harmoniously together. Something's going on and it's just creating a really quite a sluggish experience. But actually, surprisingly, gaming was okay. So games like Angry Birds 2 played absolutely fine. Asphalt 8 played pretty decently. A little bit of lag and stutter every now and then, but you can't drop the quality of that to get a better experience. Also, it played Injustice Gods Among Us pretty well, which I was actually quite surprised at. So performance is definitely a mixed bag. It's good on some days, and other days it'll be really laggy and really slow and have some issues. So now we get onto battery life, and this has got a 2500 mAh battery in it, which is actually quite good for the low specifications it has and also the 720p display. And battery life was actually pretty impressive. I could get up to 2 days use, no problem whatsoever. And that's with mixed use, so obviously social media, email, web browsing, a bit of gaming, bit of email like I said, and just general use. With that, I was getting the screen on time of between 4 and 5 hours on average, so that was pretty good again. So battery life is actually one of the strongest points of this phone, and if you use it very lightly, you could probably stretch it to 2.5 days. Now obviously, the battery life will depend on your usage, but I was getting around, like I said, 2 days, no problem whatsoever. So next up we get onto the camera, and it has an 8 megapixel rear camera with an f2.2 aperture, and it's capable of shooting only 720p video at 30 frames per second. Now the norm in 2016 is 1080p, so why it's only 720 I'm not sure at all. Also, it's got a 2 megapixel front camera, and neither of these are impressive. The photos that come out of it actually look fairly decent on a phone screen that's quite small, but once you take it up to a laptop and a computer sized screen, the quality is not there at all. You can see it's grainy, it's blurry, and the pictures just don't look good at all. So here are just some examples of what I took outside, and it actually struggles quite often, even in decent conditions. I've also noticed that it struggles to focus close up too, so if you're into macro photography, this is definitely not going to be good for that. Sometimes it can produce a decent image in really good lighting and in the right conditions, and I've also noticed that HDR is pretty decent too. Inside, it's no better. I mean, the images just don't look great at all. Again, they're noisy, they're grainy, and they're just not great. Colours are again muted and lacking, and they're just not fantastic photos at all. Video is no better. With it being 720p, it's just not good. I mean, it's definitely usable if you're just sharing something quickly on social media, but for anything else, it's not great at all. Front facing camera, 2 megapixel, again, quick snap on Instagram, it might be alright, but if you're going to be sharing loads of pictures and in difficult conditions, you're not going to get a good experience whatsoever with a front facing camera. Alright guys, so that is pretty much it for this review. So what do I think of this phone? Well, I'm actually not that impressed overall. I mean, I do like the design. I think it's really cool and it's really quirky and different. It's also very nicely well made as well. It's got a polycarbonate body and it feels pretty solid for the price. Speaking of price, it is around £100 in the UK, and there is definitely better phones now that you can pick up at the same price. So should you actually pick one of these up? No, I think it's got too many issues. The software is buggy and it's glitchy, there's too many issues with it. Performance is too hit and miss. Cameras just aren't fantastic at all. The only redeeming features for this phone are the battery life and the audio via the 3.5mm jack. But I don't think that's enough to say yes, definitely go out and buy this phone, because there's definitely better out there at the same price. So I'd just like to thank OBI for sending this out to review, and I'd also like to thank you guys for watching and all your support. If you haven't subscribed, that would be awesome. It goes a long way to help out the channel, and you get to see all my videos when they come out. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you all on the very next one.